Hi, everyone. So my name is Andrea Speck. I am a student leadership consultant at the Leadership Center. Thank you all for joining us for this workshop. Today we're going to talk about achieving balance as a student leader. Today we have a wonderful panel of student leaders all across campus who are joining us to discuss and talk about their tips and tricks, as well as their positions and how they manage to balance their roles, as well as their academic life and social life. So let's get into who our panelists are. Today, one of our panelists is Katie. Katie, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Katie Swenson. I'm a sophomore fashion merchandising major, and my position on campus is I'm Director of Spirit and Traditions for the Flash Activities Board.
Thank you, Katie. Our next panelist is Maggie. Maggie, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Maggie Kaminsky. I'm a senior integrated sciences major. It's just a fancy way of saying I'm a high school science teacher. My positions are I'm a Center for Student Involvement ambassador, and I am the current pledge educator in Alpha Phi Omega.
Thank you, Maggie. And our next panelist is Taylor. Taylor, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Taylor. I'm a second-year grad student. I'm studying deaf education with a certificate in deaf students with multiple disabilities. And I'm a senior support worker and case manager at a homeless shelter for veterans called Freedom House.
Taylor? Surya, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, my name is Surya Narayan and Elapalli Suresh, and it's a mouthful, but I go by Surya. I'm a senior accounting major. I'm also the senator for international students with the undergraduate student government, and I'm the president for Global Ambassadors, which is a student organization specifically for international students, but we also have other student communities. And during summer and spring, before the semester starts, I'm also ISO leader, which is International Student Orientation. That's pretty much it.
Thank you, Surya. Our next is Megan. Megan unfortunately cannot make it today. She had an emergency to attend to, but she is a senior English major with a women's study minor. She is a statistics tutor and coordinator at the Academic Success Center, as well as an editor-in-chief for the Honors Literacy magazine. And our final, but certainly not least, panelist is Mackenzie. Mackenzie, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I am a senior nursing major with a psych minor, and I am a tutor and program assistant for the Academic Success Center. So I just kind of help out with different roles, different things my supervisors need.
Thank you. So that is our panelists. So I want to start this workshop with a panel discussion. So asking each of our student leader panelists questions about their balance. So let's start with what is the most challenging thing to balance currently in your positions with academics, social life, as well as anything else that you may balance in your multiple roles that you hold? I know it's a loaded question, I apologize.
Currently for me, like the biggest thing is, I guess, balancing like my schoolwork and like my job right now. It's just week 5, I don't know, got all really intense all of a sudden. So I suddenly have a bunch of assignments due, multiple exams all in like 1 week, on top of just different tutoring sessions for classes that I haven't reviewed in like 2 years. So it's just been working on balancing those two things and taking time to kind of take a break so I don't burn myself out.
Anyone else?
Personally, for me, I say the hardest thing is my classes are on different deadline schedules. So one has stuff due on Thursday, one has stuff due on Friday, one has stuff due on Sunday and like Monday. So it's like trying to keep straight what's due when. And like it sounds like it should be pretty straightforward every week, but I feel like they change every week even though they don't. And sometimes the activities are like 100-point 3-page papers, and sometimes they're like write a case study or like review a case study and post what you think about it. So the like difference in workload week to week is kind of confusing to me. That's the hardest thing. And like some of my classes are very hands-on and there's like a lot to do each week. And I have another class where it's like go to class 3 times a week and take these 2 exams a semester and that's it. So sometimes I like totally even forget about that class until like the class time comes. So that's been the hardest thing for me, is figuring out like the flow of my week, especially with like exams that I have to like piece and studying that I didn't normally have time for. But that's probably what's been the hardest for me.
I feel the same with that. It's kind of hard when one teacher has everything down and then the next teacher's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but they're like, oh, but you have to do this. You don't know what it is.
It was especially for the beginning of the semester when like one of my teachers didn't have anything on Blackboard. So like I couldn't make a schedule for myself because he was like, well, I don't use Blackboard. And I'm like, well, what are we supposed to do then? What, like, there is no paper copy you can give us. The Blackboard is our only option. So that was kind of difficult at first.
Did he end up using Blackboard?
Yeah, sorry, I kept muting myself. He magically did figure out how to use Blackboard after teaching this course for 12 years. I can't get into it with him. So yes, he did magically figure out how to put a syllabus on Blackboard. Yeah.
Anyone else want to chime in?
Yeah, I think keeping track of when my classes are and whether or not we're meeting in person and online, combined with the work schedule that I have, has definitely been rocky to try to figure out. I like what Mackenzie said about trying to avoid the burnout, because that's a problem that positions as case managers have in general. And then I'm also trying to do full-time grad work at the same time, and I'm trying to figure out how to be up for work at 6 a.m., work all day, go to class from 4 to 10 o'clock at night, and still keep track of when projects are due, because I have some classes, like you said, Andrea, professors are on top of it, and I have one class we haven't had any homework assignments. I don't know what we're going to be graded on. There's a very non-descriptive syllabus posted on Blackboard, and that is it. That's all I have to go off of for this whole class. We're 6 weeks in. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing anymore in general with it. So trying not to worry too much about that and balancing when I'm supposed to be online or in person with work has definitely been a juggling act.
But adding this pandemic on top of everything already trying to balance life, I can't, yeah. We're all like kind of figuring it through. Katie, Surya, do you have anything? You don't have to answer, but if you have stuff.
I think the biggest issue I have is, like everyone else said, balancing school and work. And now this semester with COVID and having the social distance and everything, I think like my job became way more stressful than it was, because you're trying to figure out like new ideas for events and trying to like have that same spirit that you had last year at your events, but it's hard because it has to be like socially distanced. So I think just finding the time to like sit down and plan stuff out for my job and research stuff. I think that's been like the most difficult thing for me, on top of like classes and trying to figure out what is due what day and all that. So yeah, I'd say my job and classes.
Yeah, that's hard. Trying to be like creative. Surya, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, my class work's pretty easy because I started with in-person classes, but then before fall semester began, everything got shifted to online, which now exams and assignments have all been proctored, which is, it's pretty much like going to class and writing the exams, because I didn't have the open window where I could write the exam from morning till night. It's just the specific class times. But with me being part of the international students senator, I have to adjust my timeline according to wherever the students are, because most of the students didn't show up on campus because it's online. So it's difficult for me to work with students who are on the other side of the world, where daytime here is when they go to bed, and when I go to bed, they wake up and start doing their everyday work. So I try to manage that, but that's what's been most difficult for me. But other than that, class or between the leadership work that I do, it really doesn't bother me much.
That's at least good. But yeah, that time zone, that didn't even like cross my mind until you said it. That's so challenging. Now, each of you did mention that it's harder with academic and work. How do you fit your social life in there?
With the pandemic, it's pretty much none at this point, because there are, even if there's no curfews that's been put up by the state, you kind of start putting up curfews for yourselves, because nobody either shows up, or you pretty much can't go anywhere and have fun outside, because everybody's afraid of pushing it too far, or everybody is in a worry of what would happen if I go out in public with all the rules that's coming out now. So, but there are days where, you talk through the phone, but it really doesn't make up for you going and meeting your friends in person.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, I think my social life has pretty much revolved around my classes, and more specifically my in-person classes. So I've definitely noticed that I take more of an effort now to show up early for those classes, because it's the only time I actually get to see everybody and we get to talk. And I mean, it's hard to hang out when you're sitting in class for 3 hours, but it's essentially all we have anymore. Go early, stay late, just for those few minutes with friends.
The few minutes is always important, though, even if it is a few minutes. Anyone else want to input?
I think it's pretty easy this semester juggling a social life, since everyone's kind of on the same page with the pandemic. But for me, my social life has just been hanging out with my roommates, or like scheduling FaceTime calls with my friends back home. So I think it's like important to have a social life, but it's just been way easier because you have like kind of an excuse now to like not go, and you can just like hang out in your room and with your roommates, and it's easier, I think.
Yeah, at least you have roommates too. That helps. You can like make lunch or dinner together, so you kind of have that, like, not like fake friends, but you kind of have your own little knit without having to go out. Maggie, you agree with that? I saw you nodding your head a lot.
Yeah, me and my roommate, every semester we pick a new type of trash TV to watch, and so now we're making our way through Glee. And we watched all 8 seasons of Dance Moms last semester. And then we tried to start Real Housewives, but we couldn't decide on a city, and it was too much contention in our house. So then we just moved on to Glee. But no, I make jokes to my roommate all the time that she's my built-in social interaction, because I literally don't think I would talk to people outside of my job or my like one in-person class if she didn't exist. Like, it also helps that like she's an extrovert, so she like loves people. So I just use her to interact with people basically. So that sounds terrible. I have friends, I promise. I have social interactions, but she's just a lot more social than I am.
Did you want to add anything, Mackenzie? You don't have to.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I try to make sure I have like one day a week where I go see like my best friend. She has a really nice front porch that we can like social distance on. So we try to make an effort to do that once a week to give each of ourselves like a break.
Well, that sounds nice. Like be outside and chat
Yeah,
with each other.
while the weather's good.
Right. My next question is, even though it's like really hard to balance, what are some tips that you do for yourself that help you kind of like manage all your roles in your life? Another deep-rooted question.
I go ahead. Okay. I use a planner, and I know that's kind of like, you know, a common answer, but I got myself like a daily planner that lets me prioritize what I need to do each day. And it also, by being able to plan it out like so far in advance, I can also look at what days I can afford to give myself like a break from work, or to like interact with people so that I am avoiding that burnout. It helps me stay organized, and it helps reduce like the stress associated with everything. Cause like I know, okay, like here's everything I have to do today. And if I don't get it done, like it's still there. I'm not going to forget to do it. So that's really like how I stay sane with everything.
You need that. You need a foundation to keep yourself sane.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I have two different calendars. One's all academic, the other one's all meetings or scheduled one-on-one meetings, um, or event planning that goes with it. Um, I don't know if everybody knows, but when we schedule classes, when there's a it goes black when you don't have the space to put in another class at the same time. That's what I do for my meetings and events and stuff. So the calendar, which is for all my leadership roles, you're mostly gonna see black parts where there's no time at all, and then there's like other places where it's filled with my meetings, my event planning, or my student committee meetings. It's because when you put both of them together, at least for me, I get overwhelmed with it, and I start stressing on everything. So it's at least for me, it's been worked for 2 years now. One side's all academic, with assignments, my class time schedule, the whole semester that goes with it, and then the other one is all of my meetings and stuff. So it's been working till now. Um, I don't know what am I gonna do once we move into online from November.
Yeah. So do you do it digitally then? Like
Sorry.
you do a calendar digitally rather than writing it down, or do you write it
No,
down?
I write it down. I scratch out the things that I've already finished, and then each week, even though the classes are the same, the meetings are going to be different, except for maybe the USG meeting, which I have on Wednesdays. It's from 5:30 to 6:30, so that doesn't change. But the other meetings are with different people, different days, so that keeps changing. So it's easy for me to write it down, keep it with myself, rather than every time I open stuff, and then I can write details about it, even take notes. So I prefer writing over putting it on a calendar.
Anyone else do something different?
I agree with what they both just said about using the planners and calendars. And then I also have lists that I make. Like, I'm not even kidding. I have like 7 different lists, like one for all my schoolwork, one for what I need to do for my job, like for this event, for like daily tasks, like, oh, I need to clean my bathroom and do laundry or whatever. Like, so I think lists really help me to stay on track for everything that I have to do. And then again, using the planner and calendar as well.
Maggie, Taylor, do you use calendars as well?
I kind of hate, I have like a big calendar for like my monthly stuff, but I hate planners. I'm terrible at them. I'll get a planner, I'll fill it all in, and then I literally will lose it like 2 weeks into the semester. I can't tell you how bad I am at planners. I don't know why. I'm a J, so it doesn't make any sense. But I found a TikTok. This is such a weird thing to say. I found a TikTok of this girl who made an Excel spreadsheet, and it had all the due dates for her assignments, and then she printed that out and she like checks them off as she goes. And I have that, and it's actually very helpful, and I've really liked it. I've had to add a few things in here and there, but for the most part it's been very helpful. So that's what I use for like assignments basically. And I highlighted all of them so I know what class they're all for. And I've found it's actually pretty helpful. So I don't believe in planners, but I do have an Excel spreadsheet. I'm really doing my dad proud. So
At least you found something.
yeah. Yeah, really, honestly, that at least I found something that works.
What'd you do beforehand, before you found your TikTok?
Um, just remembered them. I did literally like wouldn't write them down anywhere. I don't know how I'm a senior in college. Like honestly, it is a marvel to me that I've made it this far without having like a normal planner. But yeah, I've never had classes like I do. Like most of my STEM classes are just like there's homework due on Sundays and there's 3 exams and that's about it, you know? So this is the first semester I've been in really like more ed classes than STEM classes, or it's a healthy mix this semester. But they don't have like exams and stuff. It's like do this activity and do this discussion and do this, you know? So that was a lot different for me, and that's what caused me to make the Excel spreadsheet so I could keep all the dates and activities together.
Taylor, do you use a planner?
So I made it the first 5 years of college by using a planner. The first 2 weeks, I would get really excited and I would have stickers and color-coded pens and everything. And then after 2 weeks, I would just kind of abandon it. I wouldn't necessarily lose it. I still have them all. They're all in a box. I have them. But I abandoned them and said, screw it. I'm going to just remember everything. Somehow survived. Last semester, I started using a planner more religiously, which really helped when we transitioned all of a sudden from in-person to remote. And I got a little better at it this semester. This is the longest I've had a planner, 6 whole weeks so far, and it has worked. I've also started using the calendar on my phone. I can color code it depending on whether it's my personal email or my school email. So anything personal or work related is purple, and anything school related has become blue. So then I know what's what, and I've started putting more things into it lately. So I've definitely gotten better at using technology to keep track of things instead of shuffling around a 3-inch binder worth of papers to keep track of everything.
All right, a couple more questions. If no one wants to add anything else to this question, we can move on to another one. So it takes a lot to be into like the leadership roles that y'all have now. So I was wondering, what was that journey like with learning how to balance while you're going through and improving in your academic careers? For me personally, if you told freshman Andrea that she was going to be in all these leadership positions, she would have thought you were lying and not trusted you ever again. So I know there's paths and journeys that take so many turns. So I was like very curious about how did you guys manage those turns to get where you are with balancing academics, life, and everything else?
Well, freshman Taylor worked at Jimmy John's and was thrown into a manager position and decided she would never do anything like it ever again because it was a hot mess and I just wasn't ready for it. And then sophomore Taylor moved to Kent for the first time, and I worked at Walmart, and being in charge of the register was enough stress for me. And again, I just didn't want to ever do it again. So then as a junior, I interned at Freedom House. I ended up really loving the job. So I took on 2 jobs while going to school full time. I graduated with my undergraduate degree and was actually hired in from my internship into a almost full-time, but they weren't allowed to call me full-time for budget reasons, role. We had a giant staffing problem in March, and the position of program manager and case manager opened up at the shelter. I really wanted to go for program manager, but I sat down and made a calendar, and I looked through my planner that I had, and I kind of started to think about how I would definitely burn myself out with school and work, and I would never be successful at anything if I took on program manager. I wouldn't be able to give the job or school the time that they both deserved from me, or myself the time that I deserved. So I took on case manager because I do love the work that I do, and I do love the classes that I'm taking. So I've kind of like willed myself through the love of the work that I'm doing and the classes and everything that I'm learning forced myself into trying to take it all on. And I've definitely leaned on my parents for support. So I am lucky to have a support system. Otherwise, I'd have definitely burnt out a while ago and I wouldn't be in any of the positions that I currently am in.
Having a strong support system is definitely much needed, especially balancing so many different faces. It's not easy. Does anyone else have a journey?
I can go. I came here in 2017 as a freshman, and before Kent State, I actually changed about 10 different schools throughout my life. So staying in one place for more than 3 years was a miracle for me. And this is the first time I've been in one place for more than 3 years now. And so coming out of that, being the new student or the new kid every single time doesn't really help you to get leadership positions. So when I came to Kent State, I was in an English class, the college writing class, and the professor that I had was actually a master's student. So we became friends. He was more of a friend than more of a instructor than a professor. So that really helped me out. He took me under his wing, and the Global Ambassador student organization that I'm part of was I wasn't even part of that organization when I first came to Kent State. And my professor or my friend was the one who was running the meetings for those for the student organization. He was part advisor with an actual advisor, and then he pushed me to become a member. Once I became a member, I started working with more people, and I was working at the also Global Education, which mainly works with international students' visa or advising or study abroad. So when I started working with them, I got more involved with student organizations, even the one that I'm part of right now. So that really pushed me into getting into leadership positions even more. And last year is when I became the president of Global Ambassadors. And I started working with the USG, who had a senator for international students at that time. Now he's my friend too. So we started working on a event in October last year, which was where there were 3 events. One was in October, one was in February, and then we were gonna put one more in April, but then the whole campus got shut down. We moved into remote classes and stuff, so that never happened. So he pushed me into becoming the senator for this year. So that's how I went into USG line of becoming another leader. So considering where I've come from, it was hard because you don't really go for leadership positions. Like you go become a member of student organizations or committee, but you don't really see yourself becoming an e-board person or a leadership position person unless you've experienced the organization for more than a year or at least a semester. So now that I've been here for like 3 years now, it's really helped me because I've got to know a lot of people who've helped me throughout the day. Even now, I don't do things alone. I have a committee for my organization. So it really helps when 3 or 4 people join in, try to help you rather than you picking up every single job that you have to do.
Yeah, that definitely helps, having other people that can help you rather than yourself taking everything on. Maggie?
I didn't want to interrupt you if you were going to move on to the next question. So
No, you were going to talk, so I'll let you talk.
It's kind of weird how I found myself in the position I am today because like the 2 things I'm a part of, Center for Student Involvement and Alpha Phi Omega, I found by chance. I knew I really wanted to get involved when I came to campus, but I didn't really find something that I really liked. And I was walking back from general psych my freshman year, and I saw a banner you know, that like giant TV when you're like walking down the Esplanade towards the student center. Yeah. Alpha Phi Omega was advertising there, and I was like, that looks kind of interesting. And I thought it was a fraternity or sorority at first, and I was like, I'm not really into that, you know. But then I looked into them, and I was like, you know, this is kind of interesting. So I actually joined the day before the deadline to join was. So I was like the last person. I joined like the last possible second, and I joined, and I like immediately started doing like leadership stuff. Like I was like our pledge class president, and then I was like a spirit chair, and then I did like something else. And I really like the people. I literally still live, the girl I've lived with, my one roommate who I've lived with for this is our 3rd year together. We pledged in the same semester. So like we met through APO. And then Center for Student Involvement, I was a part of this thing called the Collegiate Leadership Competition. And Sydney, my boss, came in to one of our sessions and was just like, I think she did meditation with us. Yeah, shout out to CLC, Jessica. Of course, I have to. You have to rep the CLC. It is the best unknown thing on this campus. Literally no one knows about. But she came in and she was talking about how she was hiring people, and I was like, hey, like I really need a job. And she was like, yeah, you want a job? I'll give you one. And so that's like, it's just kind of weird how like I really enjoy the leadership roles I have, but like I don't know how to explain to anybody how I got them, because like I obviously ran for all the things I have in Alpha Phi Omega, but I found it just like by chance, by like walking home from class. Like it's kind of like a weird like twist of fate, and I'm really happy I made it here. Like I love my positions and I love what I do. And I like feel like I've had like a really great college career of like, you know, through CSI and Alpha Phi Omega. But also CSC is how I know Andrea. She was on my team. That's like, it's so weird. Like these few things that you just randomly decide to do end up introducing you to these like people that you would have never assumed you would have met in the first place. You know, it's so fun. I don't know. I love it. I didn't really have a journey. It just kind of all happened by fate. And I'm an 8 and a Sagittarius, so I feel the need to lead everything. So that's pretty much it.
You guys don't have any more stories unless you want to share. We can move on. If you want to share, go ahead.
I can go. So my summer going into my freshman year, you know, everyone has to go to DKS. And so I kind of heard about Flash Activities Board through DKS. And then I was thinking about it all summer, like, oh, maybe it's something I'd want to do. Like, I don't know, because I really wanted to get involved going into college. So I started to volunteer my first semester at Kent at the Flash Activities Board events, and like I really enjoyed the people. Everyone was like so welcoming and nice, and like you just felt like you were like part of like a team. So I volunteered at like basically I think like every event, and then an event staff position opened up for a spring semester. So I interviewed for that and got the event staff position, and then like a lot of the people were graduating that semester. So like a bunch of positions were opening up for fall, like director positions. And I never really thought of myself as like taking on a big position like that, like a leadership position. I kind of just wanted to be like involved and like be in something. But then I was thinking about it and I was like, you know, I really would like to be a director of spirit and traditions. And where was I going with this? Oh, I was like, I don't know if like I'd be like good for the role. Like I really am interested in it and really want to do it. And I was like, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I interviewed for it and I got it. And so yeah, I just really like being in a leadership position, and I think it's really fun and like you're a part of something and involved on campus. So yeah, that's my journey.
Yeah, because you're a sophomore, right? So then you
Yeah.
got involved really early
Mm-hmm.
on campus then.
Yeah, so my journey was really very just straightforward. I wanted to, like, I became a tutor, I think, in the second semester of my sophomore year. And I was really just looking for a way to get more involved on campus. And my best friend had actually joined like the Academic Success Center a semester earlier. So she was kind of telling me what they do and how much she was enjoying it and how much she felt like she was helping other people, like just with their classes and everything. And it sounded like something that I was interested in. So I just kind of applied and got the job as a tutor. And then this semester, I became like a program assistant as well. So that's just kind of helping out, like I said earlier, with different things from the supervisors. But it was just kind of like a next step as in the chain, I guess, from being a tutor. So yeah, it was very straightforward.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, moving on to our next and final question before we get into more information about how you achieve balance. If you each could give yourself advice and actually listen to it, what would the advice you would give yourself?
Okay, mine would definitely be don't be afraid to take risks. Like especially when I was younger, there were things I think I missed out on because I was too afraid to do it. So definitely just get out there, put yourself out there, and you'll be pleasantly surprised by how much you get out of it. So
I think my advice would be pretty similar to Mackenzie's because I wish I would have gotten, looking back, I wish I would have been more involved on campus in my undergrad. It's a little harder now as a grad student because I don't have the option to live on campus really. I don't communicate much with the undergrads other than the 3 that I have classes with all the time. So I would definitely tell younger Taylor to become more involved and not to get scared away from the 2 events that you went to that kind of rubbed you the wrong way. Because there's so much more than just those 2 little events that didn't go that great.
My advice to myself would be exactly similar to that. Just like go for it, just do it. My high school was very small. It was a small private high school, and coming into Kent is just so many more things to do, so many opportunities on campus to get involved, and just different activities. And like you never know if you're good at something or you'd like something unless you tried. So my advice, like, is just do it. Like, just go for it because you never know what's gonna happen.
If you want to add, you can. Otherwise, we'll move on. So next, we're going to take a poll on Poll Everywhere. I will send you the link inside the group chat. And this is just a little self-assessment to gauge where you currently put yourself in your everyday roles. So let me activate that for you. And if you could just go to pollev.com/aspect013 and fill that out. And you don't have your name on it, you can just hit skip. So it says there are multiple life roles that we uphold every day. Rank each of your life roles in order from most time spent, so at the top, to least time spent at the bottom. And those roles include student/learner, worker, spouse/partner, so like a relationship, family member, friend, and relaxer. Relaxer as in like you're taking time, you're not doing anything, so kind of just like relaxed. Let me know when you guys finish that, and then we can go discuss it a little bit before we move on. Is anyone still ranking? So looking at the results, it looks like most people have ranked the student slash learner as their number one, which doesn't surprise me. We're all in college. We all got to get that career so we can save up to get rid of our student loans. So that doesn't surprise me. Next, we have worker, and then family member, friend, spouse slash partner, and relaxer. So moving to our next question, similar idea, but this time, instead of ranking what you currently put yourself in the roles, rank what you would put yourself in an ideal situation. So on an ideal day, what would be most important to you? And it's on that same link. Is anyone still ranking? Maggie, you okay? Okay, good. All right. So from this, what would be your most ideal? In our group, it was ranked family member first, then student and learner, then to friend, then to worker, then to relaxer, and then to partner or spouse. So I think doing this activity, just kind of ranking your everyday roles, you can include different roles for your different positions, I think really helps to open individuals' eyes as myself and as you guys to see how would I like to be versus how I am, and try to like figure out how you can manage that. So kind of just spreading a self-awareness so you're able to prioritize your roles, give yourself time. Does that make sense? All right. Next, in relation to that, we're going to talk about just an overlying like tips and tricks, nothing specifically, because again, as we discussed, not everything works for everyone. Like Maggie does not like planners, whereas most everyone, they prefer planners, or if you're like Taylor, you'll use it for like 2 weeks and then you'll kind of like forget about it. So not everything works for everyone. So these are just kind of some overarching ideas. So the first one is make time to care for yourself and to recharge. I think this is one of the most important things. This is all about self-care. So making sure that you yourself are healthy first, healthy both in your mind and in your body, as well as 2 other types of healthies, if possibly 6. So making sure that you first are able to rest and recharge for yourself. The next one is be comfortable with saying no and knowing your limits. If you say yes to everything, you are going to be burned out so fast. So knowing when to say no and when to not be there in order to give yourself enough time to do your other priorities. Next is prioritize and self-manage tasks and responsibilities. I'm not talking about time management, but managing yourself and how when can you do a specific task, what is the most important, what role do I need to focus on today, and being able to also be flexible with that. Some days you might plan to do a specific thing first, but something else comes in the way, but that is more important. You need to be able to self-manage that and be able to handle that. Next one is be passionate and go through life with your own purpose. Most of you talked about how you like doing what you're doing, and that's how you're able to get through it and be able to balance it. I know personally I love my positions on campus, and that's how I'm able to support myself and be able to be passionate in order to achieve what seems unachievable at certain times. So being passionate about what you do. And then the last one is surround yourself with positivity and support. You yourself need to be a support and a positive influence on yourself, as well as Taylor talked about how she relied on her parents to get her through. Sergey mentioned how he had the friend professor who was able to support him and get him to his positions that he has today, and being kind of like a lollipop for that. So all 5 of these are very important. They're very overarching. And if you focus on those in the way that works for you, you'll be able to balance and achieve that balance as a student leader easier than if you were not able to be self-aware, be comfortable with saying no, be passionate, and being positive for yourself. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about self-care, because when we did our little poll everywhere, most everyone rated the relaxer as the bottom, which I think you need to rate it just at least a little bit higher, if not the most, to take care of yourself. So there are 4 different types we're going to talk about. There could be up to 6 depending on what resource you look at. We're going to talk about 4. So the first one is the physical self-care, and that's talking about the body. So that's being mindful of like activity and nutrition. That's more of the physical stuff of, am I getting enough exercise? Am I drinking enough water? Am I eating the right stuff and not eating like Wendy's 5 times a week? So like trying to manage that. The psychological is the mind. So it's engaging in self-growth and self-learning. Challenge yourself. Think outside the box. Be able to challenge your mind rather than blindly like searching on Facebook or kind of just like not being there. So you want to be able to help yourself grow and help yourself learn. Next one is emotional. So that's the heart. So that's your feelings. To be one with positivity, love, and kindness, you have to be nice to yourself. Some days you're just going to have bad days, and that's okay. You don't want to be mean. You want to be nice to yourself and be able to take care of your heart and your feelings. And then the last one, the 4th one, is the spiritual, the soul. That's connecting with self-purpose. I mean, we're not specifically talking about religion or meditation. You can do any of those to help, but that's connecting with that self-purpose, that passion that you have in order to like pursue and go through life. Now I'm going to give you, Jessica, if you can put that second link in the chat. This is a link to a self-care, self-assessment relating back to those 4 types. So that's the physical, psychological, emotional, and spiritual. If you will take this with you, there's a ranking system similar to the poll everywhere, where you're able to rank from 5 being like, I do this frequently, to 1, I never have thought or occurred to this, of different self-care activities that you can participate in relation to those. I think just having that as a resource is going to be so helpful so that you guys can be able to see, okay, well, I'm feeling kind of sad today. What can I do to help myself not feel so sad? Or I feel kind of sick today. Well, am I eating the right stuff? That kind of gives you a list to go through. And maybe even new ideas. If you're having like a particular bad day and bubble baths aren't working for you, you might want to try something else. So those are just like an overarching different tips and tricks to help, as well as taking the tips that we discussed, our amazing panel discussed, and how you manage to balance for your own personal self-balance. Because everyone is not the same, but we all can achieve it if we try. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.